What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Thanks for stopping in to check out another video. This is where I like to take a second to remind you guys to hit that subscribe button, ring the bell for future uploads, like and comment on this video. Alright guys, next up on the turntable we have a Hot Wheels casting. What appears to be, I believe, a Ford Thunderbird. I could be wrong on that, so don't hold me to that, but I do believe that's what this is. Probably should look into it a little bit, see if I can find out exactly what it is or any information on this casting. I haven't done that yet, but I'll probably go ahead and figure it out, and maybe I'll let you know a little bit later in the video. If not, and you know what casting this is supposed to be modeled after, feel free to leave a comment and let me know. Alright guys, so let's just get off into it real quick. This is going to be my entry for the Diecast Graveyard Race Car Challenge. Obviously I chose this casting because it's already a race car, so it's going to make a great custom race car. Not really a whole lot to it. This was given to me as just a extra piece in a trade that I made with a good buddy of mine on Instagram. Shout out to Diecast Dilemma. So as usual, I do have this one already drilled apart, so give me 1 second. I'll pull her apart and let you guys check out the interior and stuff real quick, and we'll talk about it just a little bit more before we get started. Hang tight. Alright guys, and here you have it. As usual, you got your die-cast body casting here, your plastic windshield, plastic interior, and in this case we actually have a metal chassis on this one. And then your typical plastic wheels over here. As I mentioned, I've had it drilled apart and tapped already, so we've got a couple of button head screws there, so when we get ready to put it back together, it'll look nice and neat. You know, as always, we're going to do the custom on the body here. The plastic windshield is actually in really good shape. I may lightly sand this with a 2000 grit just to clean it up just a little bit. There's a little bit of scuffing going on, but not much. It's in really good shape. Got your plastic interior here. Probably go ahead and hit that with some details. It's got a nice little set of racing straps, seats, belts in there, and your typical looking race car interior. So yeah, we'll probably detail that up and make that roll bar. I don't know. We might do black. We might do chrome. Probably go black on that. Anyway, you'll have to stick around and see what that ends up coming out like. And then, like I said, we got your metal chassis here. It's actually got a pretty good bit of detail on the bottom of it. Being that it's metal, we probably won't do anything to this, but maybe clean it up a little bit, probably hit it with a little bit of polish, see what we can do with that, and then give it a nice new set of racing wheels. Other than that, it is off to its date with the stripper for right now. We'll hit it with that stuff and pull the paint off of it, and then I will determine if there's any nasty casting lines on it. Kind of looks like maybe a few back here. I'm not quite sure yet. It's actually a pretty smooth casting. Maybe a little bit across the front here. Again, it's, you know, kind of hard to tell. This enamel paint that Mattel uses does a pretty good job hiding the casting lines for the most part, but I'm sure they're there. Sure, it'll take a little bit of work, but probably not too much. Right now it's got this pretty cool little metallic orange, reddish orange paint to it. You guys know I love that metallic paint. May or may not go back with a metallic paint on this one. I know it's going to be white, just for the simple case that, you know, I've said before, I can't print with white toner. I really wish I could. And I just don't want to spend the money to try to track down any white-backed decals. So we're just going to use what we got, use what I can make, and It'll definitely be white. Probably not going to be metallic on this one. Probably just go with a regular white on this. But we'll see. I haven't made up my mind 100% yet. Alright guys, stick around. I'll get it stripped down. We'll talk about it a little bit more. Alright guys, so you can see I've got the paint stripped off of it, and I gotta tell you, the paint on this one was extremely, well, it wasn't tough to get off, but it definitely did not want to come off. I put it through the stripper twice, and that only got about 80% of the paint off of it. I ended up having to hit it with a wire brush on the rotary tool to finish getting the paint off of it, and you know, I got everything off the outside, which is the most important part. You can still see there's a good little bit on the inside of the car there, but that's not really going to matter much. We're not even going to really see any of that. So again, got the paint stripped off, and I have identified the casting lines a little bit better now. Like I said, they do run down the front here as well as the rear, and I'm going to do some work on them, but you know, there's only so much of this that I can actually take care of and get rid of, because I just don't want to, you know, damage the integrity of the body lines itself. You can see I've kind of started on this side a little bit more, and I've got a pretty good bit of it off, and we'll be able to get most of it. I'm not too worried about it, but they also went ahead and sanded it down here. You can see on this side, it runs up that back, right across the back of the fender, and right over this roof line, all the way down. And it swings back out around here, runs down here, and then all the way across the hood of the car. Same thing on the other side. They're not terrible. They're coming out pretty easily, especially the ones up here. Again, it's mainly these here in the front and in the rear that are probably still going to have a little bit left over by the time I'm done sanding. But also there's yeah, I think you can see it. Got a little bit of a rough spot here on the roof of the car that we'll have to take care of. Trunk lid's not too bad. I've already sanded it now, but the whole back end of the car was pretty rough. I mean, it still is right across through here, and I still got to take care of that. But the back bumper and underneath the back bumper was really rough. Got that sanded down right now, looking a little bit better. Might hit this in the front area a little bit of pitting going on right here, if you can see that. But again, it's not too bad. So before I got too far into it, I just wanted to show you guys that's where I'm at with it right now. I'm going to finish sanding it and get it all cleaned up, and then hit it with some primer. Think I'm definitely just going to go with a regular acrylic white paint on this one, so probably just do a white primer. Alright, stick around. Alright guys, so as I typically do in a lot of my builds when I'm trying to shoot a video for you guys, I got a little bit ahead of myself and didn't get a chance to show you guys after I'd taken care of all the casting lines on the car. You know, I was telling you they were pretty deep on the car, and I would be able to get most of them out, but probably not all of them. But I was actually able to get all the casting lines out. I was actually pretty impressed with how much I got rid of on those. But again, I got ahead of myself on the car, and right now it's completely painted and decaled. So I'm not going to show you guys that just yet. What I did want to show you guys was this back here is just the car that I borrowed the wheels off of. A set of rubber Goodyear racing wheels. And went ahead and sanded down the windshield. I am waiting on my gauzy to come in today. It is out for delivery, so I'm just waiting on that so I can throw this down in it and get this windshield cleared up. It's looking really good as far as the chips and scratches that were in it. I got all those taken care of. little bit of one in the back there. You may be able to see right around there, but other than that, I got rid of all of them, and looks a lot better. Once I hit it with that gauze, it'll look even better. And you know, I used to use the Pledge for I used to clear coat with the Pledge, and I used to use it to clear up my windshields after I sanded them down. But like I said, I went ahead and bought myself some of that gauzy stuff because I noticed a while back when I quit clear coating with the Pledge that it was turning my white castings yellow after a couple of months of sitting around. The Pledge itself was yellowing on the car, especially in the areas where there was a little bit of buildup. So I quit using it for that reason, and also decided instead of dipping the windshield down in it, I was not going to do that anymore for the same reason. I don't know that I've seen any of my windshields yellowed or anything just yet. They may or they may not, but anyway, I decided to quit using it for that as well. And I'll go ahead and show you guys. You can probably see that it's yeah, kind of hard to see on camera. I mean, you can see that yellow glow to it, especially around the bottom of the bottle. I mean, it's completely yellowed. So I won't be using that stuff anymore. And anyway, other than that, I wanted to show you guys the interior before I got it put back together, because once it's back together, you're not going to see a whole lot of this, or at least not very well anyway. As I mentioned to you guys, I went ahead and detailed the seat and the steering wheel, as well as the gear shifter black, and detailed the racing seats, the seat belts on the seat there, some red seat straps, and some silver buckles. And then you guys can see I did excuse me, I did the roll cage with my chrome Molotov pin. A little bit of the interior with that same chrome pin. But anyway, I just wanted to show you guys that before I got it put back together. You can kind of see it's got some sparkles going on in there as well. Those aren't supposed to be there, but I just got done painting a metallic car, and when I airbrush that with that metallic paint, it likes to throw those flakes everywhere, but they just wipe right off because they're dry whenever they hit whatever they hit. So anyway, I just wanted to show this to you guys before I got it completely put back together, so you can see the detailing I've done on the inside of the race car. Other than that, next up you guys will see the finished product. And also wanted to mention, I told you guys I was going to paint the car white, and I did prime it white and paint it white, but after painting it white, I decided to go with another color because I just went with a completely different direction as far as the decals on the car, and I think it turned out fantastic. You know, I've told you guys before, I usually, when I'm decaling a car, I typically go with white because I use the clear backing decals and I can't print with white toner. So typically the decals that I make usually only look good on very light colored cars or white cars, which is what they look the best on. But again, I got you know, I guess experience with them, you know, just kind of, you get a little bit better as time goes on, and I was able to figure out how to make some different colored decals work on a different colored car. So I'll let you guys see that soon. Stick around. Alright guys, it is time for the final reveal on the completed race car. But before I show you guys the Thunderbird, I wanted to show you guys one more piece real quick. And that would be this bad boy right here. And the reason I'm showing you this one before I show you the Thunderbird is because originally this was the car that I was going to use as my entry for this particular challenge. And just to talk about it a little bit, the reason I decided not to go with this one was, as I started the build, I just kind of thought it didn't quite meet the standards of a race car. And the reason for that is basically just because all I was doing was throwing some racing decals on it. So in my mind, I kind of thought, it doesn't necessarily make it a race car, and I wanted to make sure that I met the challenge fully. That being said, as I started the build and then started working on the Thunderbird, I decided, you can see now it does look a lot like a race car. It's got the roll bars in it, as well as the net over the driver's window. And in my opinion, it now does look like a race car. And I think that it would meet the challenge, but again, I had already started the Thunderbird and decided that I wasn't going to go with this as the entry. And but I still wanted to share this with you guys, and I thought this would be a good opportunity to do that. And I think I showed you guys earlier that I pulled the wheels off of this old race car back here to use on the Thunderbird. And again, as I was, doing this one, I decided I would use the parts off of the interior from that particular race car, same one I pulled the wheels off of. And that's where I got the roll cage and the driver's net over the window there from. And again, now that I'm looking at it and added those small little details to it, I do think that it does meet the requirements of a race car, but again, it's not the entry. Just wanted to share it with you guys and let you check it out because I thought it came out fantastic. I am not necessarily a racing fan. I don't watch a whole lot of racing. From time to time I do watch it, but most of my racing days as a fan was lived throughout my childhood, and even then I wasn't a huge fan. But that being said, when I did watch it, I was a huge fan of Dale Earnhardt, so that's why I decided to do this Camaro up as like in a Dale Earnhardt style, I guess you would say, even though we all know he didn't drive a Camaro, especially not a 67 Camaro. He typically drove a Monte Carlo, but the decals were available for this particular car, and I just thought it would look fantastic, and I had wanted to do a custom on a 67 Camaro because it is one of my favorite castings. So this is what I ended up with. Again, I think it came out fantastic. I absolutely love it. I'm going to throw this up in the collection and cherish it with my other 67 Camaros, as well as the couple of Dale Earnhardt race cars that I do own. So without further ado, we'll move this one out of the way and I will show you guys the completed product here for the actual challenge, what I decided to use as the entry. You guys remember it was the Thunderbird, and I did do the homework on this, and it is a Thunderbird. It's the Hot Wheels T-Bird Stalker is the actual name of this casting. And originally, I think I told you guys I was going to go white with this, and I think I might have went through all that detail earlier about, why I chose not to go with white anymore. And, I ended up going with this yellow color, but again, real quick, it's just because, I found a way to make the decals work. All the decals for this particular car work really well being clear backed and being laid on top of this yellow car. You just gotta know how to play with these decals, and being as how these are the only ones that I use and can't use the white toner, I've found several different ways to make them work on several different colors, and you know, like I said, this one worked out perfect because laying those red decals on top of the yellow doesn't affect the color of the decal itself, because it is actually darker than the background color, background being the car itself, the body color of the car, the yellow. But anyway, I kind of went with a you know, I guess you'd say a Joey Logano race car here. I pretty much modeled it as much as I could after Joey Logano's car. Not a Joey Logano fan. Again, like I said, I'm not really into racing anymore these days, so I couldn't even tell you. You know, a lot of these guys that I see driving, I'm like, who is that? You know, I have no clue who they are. I've never heard of them. But anyway, and you know, I know Joey Logano doesn't drive a Thunderbird either. He drives a Mustang. You guys know I love the Mustangs, but either way, so I chose to go with this one because once I decided that I could throw these red decals on top of the yellow background color, I knew, you know, I Googled some pictures, and of course, Joey Logano's yellow Mustang came up, and anyway, you know, it's kind of how it worked out. But again, it's another one I think came out extremely well. I think everything came together great on this build. I think it looks fantastic, and very pleased with the outcome of it. There's a couple of these decals on here that Joey Logano doesn't have on his car. But, you know, I just kind of threw them in there just to kind of fill in some space. And there was a couple of the decals that I did that are on his car that are not on this particular custom. But so that's kind of why I filled in those gaps. But for the most part, about 90% of these decals, I think there's only like one or two. Let's see, one, two. There's only two decals on the car that Joey Logano doesn't typically have on his car. You know, they weren't sponsors for his race car. But either way, this is the final product, and I hope you guys enjoyed it. I know this video is kind of long. I do appreciate you if you stuck around with me to this end. And I guess we'll cut it here. I want to say thanks to Diecast Graveyard for putting on another really cool challenge. I really love doing these race cars, so when I heard about the challenge through Instagram, I went over to his YouTube channel and found the video for the invitational, and of course I was in all the way on this one, and I'm glad I decided to, because like I said, I usually always do white race cars, and this gave me the opportunity to learn a little bit more about my decals and background color and all that good stuff. And so yeah, thanks to Diecast Graveyard for putting on another awesome challenge. And that's going to do it, guys. Appreciate you checking out the video. And as always, I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.